Of the 40 skippers who started the Vendee Globe exactly 9 weeks ago today in Les Sables d'Olonne, there are 34 still racing following the unavoidable decision taken early this morning by Eric Bellion, Standers 1, Altavia, to abandon in the Falkland Islands. After the pin system, which secures his J2 forestay broke, Bellion had effected some kind of fix a few days ago. But following another failure and facing a storm forecast in an area where he had no options to repair, fearing for the safety of his mast, Bellion chose to head into the Falklands, where he came alongside a pontoon in 35 kts winds. Stepping on land there, he announced his withdrawal from this, his second Vendee Globe. Bellion is the 6th skipper to retire. At the front of the race, the non-stop duel between Charlie Dalin MACIF Santé Prévoyance, first, and Yoann Richomme, PAPREC Arkea, second, continues. The situation still favors the leader Dalin, who is expected very early Tuesday morning into Les Sables d'Olonne. After many days of efficient high speeds in the trade winds, the finish to their Vendee Globe looks set to see Dalin and Richomme finally slowed. They have to negotiate a small windless zone off the point of Brittany, which will extend down the coast to the Vendee region, producing an easterly wind. Without his J0 in the light airs, Richomme may well struggle holding his own against Dalin. The estimated arrival times remain quite dynamic, related to the modelling of the expected breeze. Dalin is expected early on Tuesday morning, between 0400 hours and 1000 hours UTC, and Richomme between 0900 hours and 1600 hours UTC. Some 800 miles behind the first two, passing the Azores this morning, Sébastien Simon, Groupe DUBREUIL, is sailing in the same selly weather pattern as the leaders. The skipper, who grew up in Les Sables d'Olonne, should enjoy a triumphant arrival in his hometown between Thursday and Friday. After sharing a beautiful sunrise while sailing on a flat sea, his enthusiasm on the media call is infectious. After 2 days with winds at 20 to 25 knots downwind, the wind has dropped significantly for the next 24 hours. The sea is very smooth. I have a beautiful sunrise. I had a small problem with the engine starter yesterday, but it was quickly resolved. The spirit of the Vendee Globe has granted me an extra day. You have to stay focused until the end, but I also try to make the most of these times and full enjoy myself. In 4 days it will be over. Even though he knows a high level of vigilance and focus needs to be maintained, it is impossible for Simon not to think about the finish, to reflect on the rocky road he has had to endure to get to the start, the suffering, the doubts and the emotion that he has been through. After breaking vertebrae in his back at the end of the Retour à la Base race last winter, he spent 3 months in bed recovering. I am really proud of what we are achieving. There has been a lot of sacrifice, a lot of desire, a lot of energy. In recent days, I feel like I am forgetting all the hard times that I have experienced in this Vendee Globe story. Everything has gone by so quickly. I remember the start as if it were yesterday. I feel like I have been teleported here. Us humans do seem to only remember the good things. Late tonight, the first of the chasing group, led by Briton Sam Goodchild, Vulnerable, 4th, and Jérémie Beyou, Charal, 5th, will cross the equator back into the northern hemisphere. At the same time, this looks like it will see the start of their doldrums. Goodchild has retained a small lead over his French rival. In this highly competitive group, some like Thomas Ruyant, Vulnerable, 8th, Boris Herrmann, Malizia SeaExplorer, 9th, and Nicolas Lunven, HOLCIM PRB, 7th, still have a few squall zones to cross. Paul Meilhat, Biotherm, 6th, was on the French Vendee Live and detailed the challenges he faced. It's true that we had a difficult period between Argentina and Cabo Frio over 2 or 3 hard days. Since then it has stabilized despite a few lingering squalls. We are starting to see some signs of the doldrums. What is impressive is the intensity that we are putting into this race. I did not expect this Vendee Globe to be so intense, for the fight to be so tough. The intensity of this race is quite impressive. A little further back, Benjamin Dutreux, GUYOT Environment, Water Family, 12th, seems to have succeeded in his offshore, easterly strategy against Clarice Kramer, L'Occitane en Provence, 11th, and Samantha Davies, Initiatives Cla, 13th. While they are still emerging into the trade winds, Dutreux, by all accounts, should move ahead in the medium term. Veteran Jean Lecam, tout commence en Finistère, Armelux, 14th, still has control over his group of 9 skippers, which extends to Tanguy-le-Turquet, Lazare, 21st. They are sailing on a reach and will have to go around a small depression from the north, explains Christian Dumard, weather consultant for the Vendee Globe. Le Roi Jean should maintain a small lead and could be the first to reach the trade winds. He was on the calls this morning. I'm not going to get carried away either because there's whole wide zone without wind. But it's certain that the day I got away from them felt good. I spoke to Alan Ruyant on the phone, and the next day, I managed to have a 150-mile lead. I was happy, but you can't rest on your laurels and not think you can be overtaken. Behind, there is an anticyclone that has slowed or trapped several skippers. Conrad Coleman, MS Amlin, 22nd, was in fighting mood, positive after escaping from it. Guyrexu D, freelance.com, 23rd, Sébastien Simon, Fusia, 24th, and Louis Duc, 5 Group, Lanta Environment, 25th, are all becalmed there. The situation is completely different near the Falklands for Arnaud Boissiers, Lamia K-Line, 27th, and Violette Derange, Devenir, 28th, who are sailing close-hauled in 30 knots of wind and gusts of 40 knots. Derange also has to cope without her J3 following damage that she reported on Sunday. Boissiers, on his 5th consecutive Vendee Globe, as well as the youngest skipper in the race, Derange were sailing for several days in close contact with a third racer, Eric Bellion. But the skipper of Standers 1, Altavia, has been forced out, this morning docking in gale force winds in the Falklands Islands. The pin system holding the J2 forestay, which partly supports the mast, which he had already repaired, gave way again on Saturday. Bellion made the prudent choice to get closer to the Falklands initially to find shelter from the storms to come. This Sunday, he set foot on land and so gave up. Making the decision to stop was horrible. I am so disappointed after all this effort. My instinct told me that I was heading straight into a trap. I was very afraid of losing my boat. My goal was to fight. That's how these things are supposed to be written and play out. 2 people from my team are arriving with a replacement part on Monday so that we can repair it as quickly as possible and so that I can set off again serenely alone. I'm going to finish this round-the-world trip. A new adventure is going to begin, and the story will be beautiful too. Here are the latest arrival estimates for all the current Vondée Globe competitors. Charlie Dalin MACIF Santé Prévoyance, January 14, 2025, between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. Yoann Richomme, PAPREC Arkea, January 14, 2025, between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. Sébastien Simon, Groupe DUBREUIL, between January 16, end of afternoon, and 17 midday, 2025. Thomas Ruyant, Vulnerable, between January the 23rd and 25th, 2025. Jérémie Beyou, Charal, between January the 23rd and 25th, 2025. Sam Goodchild, Vulnerable, between January the 23rd and 25th, 2025. Boris Herrmann, Malizia, SeaExplorer, between January the 23rd and 25th, 2025. Justine Mettraux, Teamwork, Team SNEF, between January the 23rd and 25th, 2025. Paul Meilhat, Biotherm, between January the 23rd and 25th, 2025. Nicolas Lunven, HOLCIM, PRB, between January the 23rd and 25th, 2025. Benjamin Dutreux, GUYOT Environment, Water Family, between January the 25th and 27th, 2025. Clarice Kramer, L'Occitane en Provence between January the 25th and 27th, 2025. Samantha Davies, Initiatives Co. between January the 25th and 27th, 2025. Jean Lecam, Tout Commence en Finistère, Armelux, between January 31st and February 2nd, 2025. Roman Otonosio, Fortinet, Best Western, between January 31st and February 2nd, 2025. Damien Seguin, Groupe Apicil, between January 31st and February 2nd, 2025. Alan Roura, Hublot, between January 31st and February 2nd, 2025. Isabel Josch, MACSF, between February the 4th and 7th, 2025. Giancarlo Padot, Prismian, between February the 4th and 7th, 2025. Benjamin Ferret, Emanoia, Duo for a Job, between February the 4th and 7th, 2025. Tanguy Leturque, Lazare, between February the 4th and 7th, 2025. Conrad Coleman, MS Amlin, between February the 8th and 14th, 2025. Guirexu D, freelance.com, between February the 8th and 14th, 2025. Louis Duc, Fives Group, Lantana Environment, between February the 8th and 14th, 2025. Sebastian Marset, Fusia, between February the 8th and 14th, 2025. Kojiro Shiraishi, DMG Mori Global 1, between February the 8th and 14th, 2025. Arnaud Boissiers, La Mia K-Line, between February the 8th and 14th, 2025. Violet Derange, Devenir, between February the 8th and 14th, 2025. Oliver Here, Tuck Gut, from February 15, 2025. Antoine Cornick, Human Immobilia, from February 15, 2025. Jinquan Shu, Singchain Team Haiku, from February 15, 2025. Dennis van Weinberg, Dieteren Group, around March 2, 2025.